Andy, good morning to you. So just wanted to chat this afternoon really about the benefits of using a plan to steer through muddy waters. Obviously, we've seen some muddy waters over the last 9-10 months. And, one of the things that's enabled you to kind of steer through those muddy waters is having a plan. But I guess for the benefit of those watching this live or watching this on replay, most people will know you as heading up Ascensor, the web and digital marketing agency. But that's not the only hat you wear, is it? So do you want to just tell us what the other hat you wear is and just give us a little bit of a quick potted history as to why Ascensor came about?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm an internet retailer at heart, and first started out selling toys and games online. But that business, me and my business partner at the time, it started really well, and then the credit crunch happened, and because we were selling sort of what you class, I guess, as non-essential items, we were ranking really well. The website was great. However, we couldn't sort of control the amount of revenue we were generating. And also, you can run an internet retail business sitting in a warehouse and never speaking to anybody, and that's not really my thing. So I set up Ascensor a year later, so that's 2008, to basically resell, 2007, to basically resell the technology that we got established within our e-commerce business. That business I basically sold out to my business partner in 2014, and my current e-commerce business is a manufacturer and retailer of personalized gifts. So we sell products via all of the shopping channels, but also through our own website as well, and that business is growing massively. I think that the current climate's definitely had an impact. People aren't getting out to shops, obviously, and more people are going online. But that I think I don't tend to talk about it enough. And thanks for bringing it up. I think that sort of qualifies me a lot when certainly speaking to new opportunities when it comes to e-commerce. I live and breathe it on a daily basis. Not so much hands-on anymore, but when there are changes and opportunities, I can share those with our Ascensor clients.
And I think it's good that you've got that connection, because I think at the last count there's over 4,000 agencies in Leeds alone, and many of those have got some kind of web or digital marketing offering. And as we know, a lot of retailers and hospitality places are closed at the moment, so they've had to go online and offer some kind of online capability. The fact that you've got that internet retail experience and desire, if you like, should give you a competitive edge in the current climate.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody knows that the businesses are turning to digital in the current climate, but there are so many agencies, and it just basically makes our jobs, there's the opportunities there, but it's so much more competitive. And I think, we're not the type of business anyway with any client to say, there you go, there's your website, see you later. But certainly when it comes to e-commerce, it needs continuous attention, squeezing every little bit of conversion you can out of the traffic you get, getting the best quality traffic into the site in the first place. And like I say, we don't just see it from our customers' perspectives. I see it from my own business's perspective as well. And yeah, I mean, if we get an opportunity with a new online or business looking to sell products online, we can open up all of the stats and the books and everything that shows how well our retail business is doing. We obviously couldn't do that with a client's data, so it definitely gives us an advantage.
So you walk the walk as well as talk the talk, which is important, isn't it?
Too right. Yeah, absolutely.
And so you're into your 14th year now, and it's probably fair to assume you've probably not seen many tougher years than 2020. It is tough. It is tough for any business at the moment navigating through muddy waters. How important has having a plan been to you to enable you to make the right decisions and steer through those tough times?
Well, you're the king of anecdotes, and I'll steal one of yours. You failed to plan to fail.
Yeah,
I think if you've got a plan that needs to be flexible enough to change, it doesn't want to be one of these business plans written for a bank that never sees the light of day once it's served its purpose. It needs to be agile, and we've worked with you on that for pretty much 10 years now. And I think having a plan that you're continuously monitoring your progress using KPIs and other measures, and historical data is great. Build that back into the plan and then look at forecasting going forwards. if you set your direction of travel, then you've got much more chance of getting there and achieving it. Otherwise, it's generally a bit of a shot in the dark. I think 2020 has been a challenge for many businesses, and yeah, you could say we're in a good sector for it, but at the same time, we still have to get things right. Customers' money is more important to them than ever right now, and I think we've done well in the current climate because we've had that plan, and that plan has been focused on specific sectors, business types, which that is where we are fortunate in the fact that the sectors that we predominantly work with have been pretty resilient, which has helped us to be resilient. And I think the thing is we help businesses to do better, saving money potentially when it comes to transferring things to digital through, we've done quite a few projects recently where we've moved sort of paper-based processes into digital technology. We've allowed other businesses to avoid needing to do face-to-face business. They can move elements of their business online. So I think for us, it's been a challenge, and it's been a challenge for many of our customers. But at the same time, it's about finding the opportunity. Well, as when these things happen, you can either sort of roll over and let things happen to you, or you can just get on and try and find the way through it. And having that plan in place with you has definitely been, something that has ensured that we've done well as a result of everything that's going on, and still have that same clear direction.
Yeah, I think you mentioned there traditionally these big thick business plans that they were written in smoky boardrooms somewhere, 5-10 year plans, or written for the bank, but nobody ever looks at those. We're in an environment that's probably as fast paced and as quick changing as we've seen in a generation. So having a plan that's simple that you can review on a weekly, monthly basis enables you to not only respond to challenges, but also to capitalize on opportunities that come your way.
Yeah, definitely. And it needs to be sort of long enough so you've got a general direction, but then short enough in terms of the time frame that you're looking at. So the way we work with you from a strategic perspective, we're looking at what's going on in the next month, as well as the next 12 months broken down into quarters, and then a sort of a bigger picture 3-year view. And by measuring how we do means that we can just keep tweaking it.
So how does having a plan allow you and your team to stay focused on your goals?
I think one of the main things is around confidence. The team have got confidence in the business if they know that there is a plan there for them, and they're doing their bit towards it. Every single person in this company is vital. They're here for a reason, and they are working towards it, whether it be a team leader steering their particular team in a certain area, whether it be finance focusing on their KPIs, whatever it is, they know what they're doing, and it's communicated down through the business. And we have a real focus on our company values, making sure that we recruit based on values, and we do everything we can in our one-to-ones, and basically any event we do has always got some sort of focus on our values. And I think making the team realize how important they are, and how whatever it is that they do within the company is vital towards the company's success, gives them the confidence that they're looked after, that we care about them, and they will do their best. And if we've got a happy team, then we have happy clients, because everybody works as hard as they possibly can to make sure that we leave customers under promised and sort of over delivered with.
Yeah. So you've got a plan that effectively, you mentioned that kind of monthly, quarterly, annual stepping stones towards your 3 to 5 year vision. And if you split the plan down into those kind of functional areas of sales, marketing, finance, team, operations, what it enables you to do is you've got everybody in each of those functions in the business knowing what they're doing on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis, but also what and how they measure the success of what they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And it's not your plan though, is it? Because it wasn't you producing the plan that then went to the team and said, hey, can you buy into this? Just tell us a little bit about who you involved in that planning process so it becomes everybody's plan.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you want to get results, then it can't just be from a sort of an autocratic position. It's no good me saying this is what we want to do. It's about setting some sort of loose goals, making sure, does everybody really want to move to a big building in Leeds? Does everybody really want to keep growing the company and have another double the amount of people here? Is that what you really want? Yes. Right. Okay. Let's put a team together and figure out how we're going to do that. So we, in our last strategy session that we did with you at the end of last year, it was a 2-day workshop, and there were individuals that I believed could add value to the planning process for the next 12 months, and that will change on a 12-monthly basis, but who could add value and were able to make sure that as a business we're able to carry it throughout the organization. So we had head of production, finance manager, we had our senior UX designer in there, head of sales, myself, and between us all, we're all sort of wearing different hats. We're looking at growing client base and growing pipeline. We're looking at getting products out efficiently and managing the team effectively and the processes that within that, looking at the pennies and making sure that we stay profitable every single month to be cash flow positive. So we've all sort of got, and from a UX design perspective, making sure that we're creative, making sure that we are looking at innovation within the business. So innovation from a product development perspective, within like our air products, for instance, but also innovation within our processes within the business. How can we deliver our product more effectively, more efficiently? How can we develop the processes in the company so that they are the things that run the business and it's the people that run the processes? So having sort of key stakeholders, if you like, or key voices in those strategy sessions is really important to me. And then, it's not me deciding what we're going to do, I'm quite influential in what we're going to do, but I'm not saying how we're going to get there.
Yeah. So
key thing.
So it's because they're involved in the development of the plan, and they're working together as a team to make sure they're all aligned and consistent and congruent. It effectively becomes their plan, and they're responsible for delivering it rather than it being your plan. And as a result, you're just there to offer guidance and support. It's effectively their plan that they're delivering with their teams.
100%. Yeah. And we make sure that, when we presented back, so from the session that we did at the end of the last financial year, it's not me presenting it back, it's the team presenting it back. I did my little bit, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm just another team member. I'm the ultimate decision maker, but often things don't need to come to me for a decision because everybody's empowered and they just know what they're doing, and that's because they've been involved in that planning stage and the implementation of that plan and the gathering of the results on a monthly basis, monitoring progress towards achieving those goals. So yeah.
And it's important that you've got the team stepping up and delivering and responsible for taking action, because as we said at the beginning, it's not just Ascensor. You're running the retail business. You've obviously got a family life that you want to have. So it's important for you that you've got a team that are running the business on a day-to-day basis that allows you not to have to be there 24/7 on a regular basis.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's every sort of business owner's goal, is to sort of take themselves out of the picture if they need to be. I would find that very, very difficult, and I am. Yeah. I mean, it's my absolute passion is helping businesses to succeed online. And I think that comes through when I'm speaking to sort of prospects, etc. But it definitely comes through as far as the team are concerned. It's really, really important to give the team the confidence that I'm there, and that's the way I feel anyway. Maybe that's a control freak thing. I don't know, but for me, it's just. If I wanted to take a couple of days off a week, I could, but I wouldn't want to do that because I'm just so into what I do.
Absolutely. You mentioned a few moments ago, Andy, about the importance of processes. There becomes a tipping point in business, doesn't there, where things that maybe in your head or on fag packets somewhere need to be more structured and more professional in order that the team can take responsibility. Why are processes important for you? And then how do you measure your processes and the success of your processes in the business?
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit like building a house, and your sort of processes are your foundations. I think as a business grows, it's always important to look back and think about how you can make it's all a bit frantic, isn't it? Particularly when you're growing. And I think if you can make sure that you lay down foundations as you take each step up, focusing on the processes that are going to make sure that you can be efficient. It's very easy to deliver something in an inefficient way. It's very easy to be a busy fool. And I think by having processes in place enables you to do things better next time. It enables you to make sure that where you've got holidays or you've got staff sickness or anything like that, you've got cover, because other people can jump in and run a particular process, a particular function, because of the process that's there. I think you can always get better, and I think by putting processes in place, that's one thing. But then you've got to continuously review them. You've got to see if it works. And I think one thing that I think we've been afraid of in the past is, or maybe not dedicating the time to, is putting enough processes in place, because it's too hard to get from zero to hero when it comes to a process.
Yeah, of course.
For me, just start somewhere and just keep evaluating it, keep making it better. And then you can manage the data that you get out of that by having sort of key performance indicators in place. So, yeah. Sorry.
No. So what you've said there is, which is another mantra of mine, is processes run the business, people run the processes. So if you've got the right processes in place and they're constantly evolving, and the value aligned people are following the processes, that's going to result in best in class customer service on a regular basis.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a matter of just following it step by step. This is what we do in this situation. This is what we do in that situation. And then everybody, by being brought into the process, becomes accountable for their elements of each step. What I was taught a long time ago is to have sort of ownership in your role and in a business, is to make sure that if it's something that you need to get done and you need somebody else, it's still your responsibility to make sure it gets done.
Yes.
You shouldn't ever just pass the buck and say, oh, well, I asked them to do it. If they've not done it yet, that's on them. Having true ownership is to make sure, if it's not working or something's not been done quickly enough, change the way you ask for it, escalate it, do whatever you need to do, but own it. And I think with processes, if you own your part of that process, then you're accountable for it, and then you get it done. And a lot of our processes touch on that customer experience, like you said. And I think we're certainly not perfect, but we make sure that we understand where we haven't been perfect. There's no sort of stick wielding in this company. It's about having authenticity and open and honest conversations with each other around what we could do better next time. And that's all part of the process.
Absolutely. And certainly from the time I've worked with you, Andy, what I do get is the fact that it's not my job culture, because as soon as a business gets, that's not my job, it's not my responsibility, then you start to get things falling down gaps. So Diane's made a really great comment here, which we both agree with. I know it's so important to empower people to deliver and to trust them to deliver, because otherwise you just become a control freak, don't you?
Yeah, and that doesn't work. You cannot grow. I mean, we've added, I think, 11 people in the last 12 months. A lot of change for the existing people and the new people. You have to put the structure in place to give people the scope and the room for doing things, trying things, and then that review process to understand what could have been done better, what worked really well that we should do more of. But you've got to trust people, because you can't grow otherwise. And we use some software I keep putting on LinkedIn, actually, called Office Vibe, which sort of monitors the well-being and general heartbeat of the team. And we do regular one-to-ones with feedback from everybody within it, so that we can really understand where people may have any issues before they occur. And as a result, there's generally only positive stuff that we see coming back through Office Vibe, and it wasn't 3 years ago. There wasn't the I think the platform for people to sort of voice, it's all anonymous, you see, so there wasn't a platform for people to voice their concerns, and it's anonymous, but myself and colleagues respond back to them as ourselves, and if there is an issue there, it's like, this is a great place for you to air it, but really what you need to do is this and this, go and speak to that person. And I think by sort of helping people through those honest conversations and being upfront and not being afraid to voice an opinion, it just makes life so much easier. You're not worried about what people might be thinking, because you sort of know everybody's okay. And I think that's how you create that level of trust that then disseminates through the company. If we stick another 11 people onto the payroll over the next 12 months, it will just work the same, because we've got that sort of level of stability and process in place.
Absolutely. I know we've got a couple of questions here, which I'll come back to in a moment. I saw an interesting post this week that says culture isn't eating croissants, sat on beanbags and driving around on tricycles all day. And you have got, your ping pong table and your large Connect 4, but culture is how a business works together, how they trust each other and how they perform when you are around in the business. And you've really built that up over the last 2 or 3 years into something very strong.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with me is if everybody jumps up and leaves at 5 o'clock or 4:30, that's not great. If their desks look like they were halfway through something, that's not great. And I think over time, I notice when we have like we have quite a few office parties and stuff like that. There's loads of people that don't come down on time because they're finishing off what they're doing. And people. For me, it's not about how long you do something for, it's about what you do in the time you're doing it for. Obviously, we like to get a full working week out of everybody when they're working, but it's more important what they get done rather than how long they were there doing it. And I think that's vital.
Yeah, and we can measure that on KPIs, which we'll come to in a few moments. So a couple of questions here that I'll take, if I may. So the first one's from Diane Ben. What would you say is the number one ingredient that's allowed you to grow? Is it vision? Is it having that dream? Is it having a passion and an energy? What's the most important ingredient for you?
I think you've got to have passion. You've got to sort of take some risks, and you've got to show that you are you're one of the team. And I think that's feedback I generally get with the 360 thing. I've got everyone's back. Whatever goes on outside of the organization, we make sure that we deal with any issues inside the organization, so that where we've not got something right, we hold our hands up. Where we get something right, we make sure that we try and get a testimonial that's always shared with the team, and we use Teams for that. And I think it's just for me, it's being as one with everybody and giving them the confidence that we're going in the right direction, reflecting back on what we've done and how because things seem to move quite slowly. It's only when you look back over a longer period of time you realize what you've achieved. And I think for me, it's just, I guess in one word, Diane, it's authenticity. Be authentic.
Being true, being consistent, being congruent. Absolutely. A question here from Phil. You've grown organically year on year. Have you ever considered growing by acquisition?
Yeah, we've done a couple, actually. We acquired a small agency called Refreshing Web Design 2012, I think that was. Yep. And it was more sort of purchasing a client bank. And then we've acquired the assets last year of a Bradford-based business, two businesses, Web Posse and Claret Media. And that's been really good. I mean, the deal was around, how long we would have to retain them as a client at the current level to cover the cost of it, which we agreed on that. The opportunity for us was around upselling. We have done a great job of that. There's always going to be some clients in these situations who don't really want to advance their technology. They've got a website for the sake of it, but there's always some really good ones. We picked up like a global PLC as a result of that, who are doing loads of work with us, and we took on a member of the team as well, who's now one of our lead developers on our air solution. So yeah, always open to look at that. I think they are potentially, there's quite a few pitfalls, because, unless there's a lot of money on retention, then you're sort of buying history rather than, and some hosting rather than a great opportunity going forwards. But it certainly worked out well with the one that we did both of the ones that we've done.
So anybody listening and watching that knows of an agency that are looking to get out, that have got some good contracts, some good clients, and they're looking probably just to take the pressure away, pick the phone up and have a conversation. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely.
A question here from Graham. I'll take these in the order that they are, but how important has having an outside voice such as Gary asking those hard questions and making you and the team look at the business and the way it's being shaped, how has that helped both the centre and yourself over time?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I remember the first time we met, it was a BIY event.
Correct.
Long time ago. And I think the thing is you're straight talking. You don't pull any punches. You can, you're a bit Marmite. I think you've said that yourself. So,
yeah.
And I think that's the key for me. I think you've got to find a mentor that you will hold yourself account to. And I think that's what I need. I think it's too easy as a business owner to just, maybe believe in yourself too much. I believe in myself, but you need to be stopped every so often and said, look, it might, this is what you want to do. Have you measured it? Have you, what's the forecast on this? And, you're very data driven. I'm a very data driven person, and, it's about tangible results. And I think that's the main thing. How, there's loads and loads of mentors and coaches out there. You've got to find the right person for you. And, we wouldn't speak to anybody else because, you don't fix what's not broken, I believe. But at the same time, you've got a really good understanding of our business. And, we can see over the last 10 years, the impact of working with you and the growth that we've had.
Well, you're turning over a month now what you were turning over a year when we first started working together. So, it's not a bad return, is it?
No, absolutely.
Great question, Graham. Martin Miller, sharing what the plan is and looks like can be hugely empowering, as well as your point about involvement in creation. Is there anything you wouldn't or don't share with the team? Great question, Martin.
Yeah, we don't share bank balances. We share. We went a long time where we didn't share quotation values. I think it's quite difficult. I don't think individuals in the business necessarily appreciate all of the costs that goes into everything that we do. But that's changed a lot, and it's made a big difference, helping people to understand why we quote the work that we quote. We need to build in project management time. If the client hadn't given us an order, we wouldn't be managing the project. So, it needs to be good. We don't charge for account management time, but we do charge for, testing. We've had challenges historically where people have said, well, why am I paying you to test it? It should just be right. And it's like, well, we're building a piece of software for you, or it's a piece of software that we've pre-built that's got your content in it. You expect to access that through any browser, operating system and device that you choose, and you expect it to be perfect. That takes testing, and it's a continuous moving feast. So I think it's really important that we do share that information, because people then are more protective over their time. Everybody in the company, if they feel that they're being pushed by a client to do extra stuff, they'll always flag it up. Whereas historically, they've sort of just thought, oh, the customer's asked for this, I'll just get on and do it. So I think sharing financials is probably something that I wouldn't share everything, but we share a lot more than we would have done historically. I think, sort of personal future plans in the business, I probably wouldn't share until I'm ready with that. But otherwise, I think, no, it's important to, some information, I guess, you share, you make a decision when you're asked. You don't necessarily just be an open book to everybody. But in the main, we to bring people along on the ride, they've got to trust you, and therefore there can't be any sort of a hint of things being kept from people.
Fantastic. I'm just kind of just looking at one last question, but I'm just looking at the questions that we had. So we talked a little bit about the impact of no process and KPIs. I think we've touched on that. So I'm going to just look at this. So I know Nigel here said culture or brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. Emma Digby, what would your top tip be when you're looking at acquisition in terms of making sure you get that cultural integration?
Yeah, I think you've, there's two sides of it. There's people, and we acquired one sorry, I've got somebody coming into the room. So we recruited somebody from Web Posse, but then I think the other side of it is the customers as well. You know, are they the right customer fit for you? And you know, what have they done over the last 12 months to evolve the website? You know, we want to work with businesses that can see what they can get out of the solutions that we provide. And yeah, that gives us a residual customer, but at the same time, it gives us an opportunity to really, really add value. So I think the most important thing is the customers, what customers are going to come along with it.
Because nobody wants to buy a bank of customers that are a pain in the ass and then just rub everybody in the team up the wrong way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Absolutely. I think Graham's going to come on and say a few closing words, but one of the last questions I had, just very quickly, how often do you review and update the plan? I think you've touched on that, haven't you, in terms of kind of monthly with the team?
Yeah, some of it we do on a weekly basis when in our like sales meetings and finance meetings, and then other than that, it's on a monthly and obviously quarterly, which gets caught up with each month.
Fantastic. Thanks, Andy. Over to Graham.
Well, it's just to say a quick thank you to both of you. Gary, it's always good to have somebody involved from outside the business who can put the thumb on your head, slow you down and let you have a look at what you're doing. And with a business like Ascensor, where you can go a bit mad and go off in so many different directions, I think something like that's been a real boon to you, quite frankly, Andy. But what's been interesting to hear about today for me has been the way that you've grown Ascensor over the last 14 years. I mean, I've known you since you started, and it's been fabulous to see you go the way you have. That lovely new building with a lovely sign, all the branding up at Ellen Road. I'm sure that had a bit of influence on that, on the promotion last year. But it's interesting, making the growth plan inclusive of all the staff, making it their baby, has really helped push the business forward from what you've both been saying. And it's a great example for everybody. Staff it's always difficult. And acquisitions, talking of acquisition, having been involved in companies where acquisitions were made simply for turnover as opposed to integrating staff, it's such a big mistake. So the way you've done it has been brilliant. So judging by the questions and the interaction we've had on here, we've got to do this again because it's just been such a fabulous session. So I can't thank the two of you enough for your time. Stay on because I'm sure people are going to want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And everybody else, we've got another session coming up at 5:30 with Sandy. In the meantime, do a bit more networking, and I hope you're all enjoying yourselves. And thanks, chaps.
Thanks.
Thanks, Graham. Thanks, Andy. Thanks,
guys. Thanks for listening, everyone. Cheers.
Pleasure. Bye, Andy.